Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to Tea with D, where we're drinking in some big life truths along with some tea. That's probably coffee. Or maybe even wine, because this is a judgment-free zone, my friends. I'm Dr. D. Franey, and I am a life coach with My Yes Life. And I love helping people get rid of the garbage can thoughts that are getting in the way of them living their best yes life. Today, I want to talk about this weird thing that I see people doing. Just be happy is what I call it. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but we'll get into it. But it revolves around the idea that if you change your thoughts, you can change your world. And how often I see this get done in a actually more harmful way, like the misunderstanding of that quote and how to actually execute it in your life. And so real fast, like last night, I'm coming off of this really cool high of getting to do a favorite things party, an unbirthday party for a friend, Nisha, and Shauna hosted it. And it was such a great time getting to connect with a group of women and remind them the importance of a solid, loving relationship with self. So that is always rad. I love sharing that story. So that's pretty cool. And I recently had a conversation with one of my clients who told me, she's like, I've always seen this, that quote, change your thoughts, change your world. And I understood it intellectually, but not emotionally. And I really didn't understand how to truly do that. Like, it just felt like, if I'm in a bad mood, I just have to think happy thoughts and that's it. And like, while there's an element of that, if you're just kind of pushing away the ick, the negativity and trying to force yourself into this happy space, really what you're doing is creating a lot of resistance in your life and avoidance, right? You're not really sitting with or allowing the ick and to truly understand it. When the negative emotions come up, it's not because there's anything wrong, or there's nothing wrong with you. Negative emotions exist to tell us that there is something wrong, that we're out of alignment. They are messengers. So instead of just trying to push away the negativity and say, this isn't supposed to be here, there's something wrong with me because I'm not happy all the time, it's better to get kind of curious and look inward on that. And so just an FYI, your brain's default mode, our survival brain, the part of our brain that's the oldest part that has kept us alive and going as a species, the default mode is fear. Our brain's default mode is not happy. So like this resistance and this thing that we say that just be happy, just be happy, just be happy is really fighting against our evolutionary defaults and resisting what fear is trying to tell us. And fear comes in lots of different packaging, and procrastination and perfectionism and shame and anger and, all these other different messages. And each one is telling us an underlying message. And so I was just driving, and I'd already been thinking about doing this topic, but there's this business on Washington here, 89, and they always have something on their sign, and it said, it's just been one of those days for 3 years now. And I love that, right? Because there's people I meet all the time that are just like, oh, it's just a bad day. Oh, it's not the right day to start. It's not the right day to change. It's whatever, fill in the blank, right? But if you don't do anything about it, you can get stuck in whatever this emotional ick is and not move past it. And that's not what's supposed to happen. And that's happening because of this resistance, the trying to force ourselves to be happy, to force ourselves to be positive, rather than to lean into the discomfort, to lean into the challenging emotion and say, what's the message here? What am I supposed to learn? What is this trying to tell me I need to change? And even just having that shift in thinking about negative emotions instead of it being something wrong with you or wrong with your brain, but hey, what's the message here, is going to immediately release some of that resistance. But really what you want to, the goal is self-awareness. We're never going to get to this point where you're happy all the time. I'm sorry to give you that bad news if the goal is to always be happy, but it's just not how we've evolved as a species. And if you're only in comfort, really that gets to be a very uncomfortable space too. Like sometimes we don't want to put ourselves out there and do the things that are hard because we think it's more comfortable to stay stagnant. And then you start to have a lot of anxiety and depression and other crap because you're not doing, you're not growing, you're not becoming more of yourself. And so the goal is self-awareness, to be better and quicker at recognizing our emotional state. And our emotions always come from a thought. Most of our thoughts are subconscious, like 93% of them, which is a good thing. If you heard every single thought, you'd probably be in a loony bin. But we can use our emotional space to say, okay, something's not right. What's the thought that's underlying this? And really start to check in on those thoughts and get curious and allow them to be there, right? There's nothing wrong with you. It's just your brain being in its default mode of fear and giving you the message that something's not right. And the more you can kind of lean into that and get curious and see how that thought is creating destructive habits of thinking and habits of behavior in your life, it's that level of awareness that then allows you to make the change. This change your thoughts and just be happy is not looking inward to the underlying issue, and it's not giving you the awareness that you need to create a lasting change. So it is uncomfortable, but I gotta tell you, looking inward, really getting curious and just allowing that to be there and to uncover the message that's behind the icky feeling, that's what leads you to changing your thoughts, creating and installing new thoughts that get you to the habit of thinking and the habit of behavior that you want. But first you have to look and really get curious about the current habits of thinking and behavior that are causing the negative emotions in your life. And that's the secret key to unlocking that and to becoming more positive, right? Like, I'm not happy all the time, but I am a positive person because I know that there's always light on the other side of this challenge. There's always something to learn and grow from the ick and the hard. And so I'm willing to look inward and say, why am I feeling this icky emotion? What's the message? And what do I need to change? How can I change this? Where can I move forward with this instead of getting stuck in it or having the discomfort of avoiding it, numbing it, resisting it, running away from it, or just shoving it down, shoving our face hole full of food so we don't have to feel it, right? That stuff happens, and that just creates like a negative feedback loop of more and more and more and more and more ick. And like, think about it, there's so many people I meet that are like, I'm so tired. I'm tired all the time and I don't know why. And they haven't done anything to like legitimately physically exert their body. There's no physical reason for them to be that tired. And the reason being is because they're not dealing with the emotional ick. And you use a lot of energy trying to run from, resist it, avoid it, numb it, distract yourself from it. And you get to a point where like there's just no more energy because all you're doing is expending all of it trying to avoid your emotional baggage. And so don't just get into that just be happy. Like, if all I do is override this with a happy thought, I'm going to feel better, because as you know, that usually doesn't give you a lasting change. You got to look inward, really develop that self-awareness, get curious about the icky emotions and why they're there and what the message is to help you change it. So that is this week's Tea with D. I hope that Limitless Life Truth hit you in the gut and is helping you look inward and find some change. If anything I said resonated with you, and you think that maybe coaching and having someone guide you through making these changes would be awesome, you can find the little link to book a free mini session with me. And if you're not ready to talk to me yet, but want to maybe look inward and check out what's going on in your life, there's also a link for the free 7-day reboot. You can reboot your life in 7 days. It's a free coaching experience. It's a quick daily lesson and exercise to help you get to know yourself better and what's going on. So I hope you are all having a beautiful Thursday morning, afternoon, depending on your time zone, and I will see you next week. Ciao, ciao.